Hello world, welcome to Code or Not to Code. I'm Eva and I'm super happy to do it today. And as always, my partner in coding adventures, Stefan, is right here with me. How's it going today?
Equally excited. Yes, we have a very special and very experimental show ahead of us.
Absolutely. If you're new to this show, Stefan and I have been friends for a few years now, and one day we decided to get together and build something. And our current project is building a .NET tool live on this show with you. Stefan brings a wealth of .NET experience to the table, while I bring a wealth of enthusiasm, not so much experience, but I'm steadily honing my skills. Yeah, very kind of you. Thank you. No, I've been learning something new, I feel like, every single session, and that's been our primary goal coming into the stream in the first place. But we will definitely learn something new today. As Stefan said, a very special episode. We will be working with Interceptors today. They're a new C# 12 compiler feature, and we'll have a closer look in a little bit. But first, if you'd like to keep up to date with us, with our shows, with guests that we might be hosting, please give us a follow on Mastodon. We always like to connect with you, hear your feedback and suggestions, and just generally reach out and connect. And let's start, I suppose, with .NET news.
It's end of October, which means it's almost November, and November is .NET Conf time. And the yearly .NET Conf in November also marks the next release of .NET. It will be .NET 8 together with C# 12, and this will ship a feature in experimental state that we will tackle today. And you can take a look at the agenda of the .NET Conf, posting the link in the chat if you want to follow that. It will be from 14th to 16th of November, and there is tons of content.
As always, isn't it?
And also, 18 days ago, a new version of the Rocks library has been released. This is doing mocking. Last episode, we talked a little bit about mocking, exchanging behavior for testing. To make components testable, and this is based on Roslyn using generators, which is also tied to our show today. And the author of this library is with us today, and now everything comes together, and we can welcome Jason Bach on the show. Hello, Jason.
Hi, hello, good afternoon or good evening, depending upon where you are. You're over in Europe and I'm over here in America, and we can do this at the same time. This is great. I love it. So
thanks for defying the time zone difference with us.
Yes.
Well, as we were talking before, I did a user group a couple of years ago for Adelaide. I think that's how you say it in Australia. And I think I had to get up at like 3 a.m. to do that one. And so that was a little rougher. This is fine for me. So.
Excellent.
3 a.m. Oh my God.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jason Bach. I am a staff software engineer. I work at a company called Rocket Mortgage, and I've been there now for just over 3 years. And then before that, I did a lot of consulting work. I was doing consulting for a couple companies for pretty much the rest of my career, about 25 years, and have done a lot of stuff mostly in the Microsoft space, specifically with .NET. That's just the way the career evolved and happened over time. And so I've done a lot of stuff with .NET, written some books, do some speaking here and there. I've been also doing some videos, as you have up here now on my YouTube channel. And I'm also happy to say that the last time I published was 4 weeks ago, and then I ran into some issues with my recording software, but I finally figured out a kind of a little bit of a workaround. So I'll be back to doing that again. They're kind of like your videos in that I feel like they're a little, niche, a little, I think I don't mean this in a bad way. I just mean it's like it's off the beaten path. It's not necessarily the things that you see that are the more popular talks, but I find them to be more interesting because they get into areas that I think are pretty powerful when you've been talking, on your streams about the stuff that you're doing. To me, that's the fun stuff. And so I kind of do, like, as you mentioned, do a lot of stuff with like source generators, analyzers. The whole rosin stuff has been very interesting. So a lot of what I do on my channel is my coding videos, and then occasionally if I go to a concert, I may post a 30-second video of what I recorded there, but most of it's coding. So yeah.
Well, I guess it's fair to say that you may have inspired two streamers as well with your shows, and you're nearing episode 500. Wow, that's a lot.
Well, I don't ever want quantity to be better than quality, if you know what I mean. In some ways it's actually pretty, I don't want to say easy, but the way I make my videos is I just go, hey, I want to add this new feature in this framework. I want to explore this idea, or somebody came up, found a bug, and now I got to fix it. And then I just record myself as I'm doing it. So it's not a lot of setup. It's not, a lot to do. I'm just sitting in my office like I'm doing right now, and I record it, and then I just tidy it up in editing, and that's about it. So it lends itself so that I can get more out, assuming everything's working, but I can get more stuff done. And I've been doing this now, I think since started to make more and more videos since around like 2017, 2018. And hence that's why there's a fair amount there. I still enjoy doing it. It's for some odd reason, it's almost therapeutic. I find it fun. I find it fun to do in a way. And it's like if I only get 50 or 60 views, it's like that's fine. When you said that one of the streams I did once it was the Oxford user group, and about that being inspirational. I always love to bring up Rush. Rush is one of my favorite rock bands of all time, and the late Neil Peart, which is sad to say that even 3 years from now, that when he passed away. But one of the things he said in one of his interviews is, one of the best things you can do is inspire, and with what you do to inspire other people, and to kind of go a little bit more on that. When you said that, there was a time when I was doing a talk at a conference, and there was on the first day, there was this thing afterwards where all these people went to have food and drinks and just kind of like a meet and greet, and and get to know other people there. And I'm not typically a person that likes to go to big events that I don't know anybody and just like hang around. My introvertness starts kicking in, and I get a little but this one person just came up to me and he said, "Hey, you're the one that wrote this compiler book like in 2015, this kind of thin book on the compiler API." And I said, "Yeah, that was me." And he said, "I really want to thank you for doing that. I was going to school, I was getting my master's, and I was doing something on .NET and compilers, and I was having a really hard time figuring stuff out and finding information. And then I stumbled across your book." And he goes, "That really helped me." And then we ended up chhatting for half an hour. But to hear those kinds of comments, and for anybody who's listening to this, that's something I think we all have to do, and we can, is just to let people know, hey, I'm really appreciative of what you did here, because that kind of messaging, I think, can also help the receivers while hearing that. That gives them a little bit of energy to go, wow, I actually helped somebody out. That's a good thing. So
Oh, very much so. But also with the videos you produce, they also end up as artifacts and usable packages, and you have quite a lot of results going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I mean, it's like the long tail. There's some that I have. In fact, a fair amount of my repositories are just from when I do talks, and so they're purely there as vehicles that when I do demos, they're there. So they don't have any life other than just, I'm going to a conference, I'm going to do a demo. But then there are some that I've done, and those are the ones that you see kind of that are what GitHub considers to be popular, the ones that I've done like the most work on. And as you mentioned, one of them is rocks, and that one has become, I think, a really, again, for me, fun is probably an odd way of defining it, but a fun framework to keep working on, because even though and there's a whole discussion people can have on mocking and whether you should use mocking frameworks. Are they good? Are they bad? All that stuff. For me, what I found is, well, my framework is like nowhere near as quote unquote popular as you see with like the downloads framework Q and Substitute, Fake It Easy, those. At the very least, the value and the reason why I keep working on it is really right now is for education. It's been incredibly insightful just to keep building this and stay, in line with latest .NET features, like in C#11 with required properties. That actually has a very subtle but interesting effect with mocking frameworks, because even if a property isn't virtual, but it's required, you really should set it when you make an instance of it. And so that was something I went, I got to support that in my framework. So there are also just an incredible amount of edge cases I found that are legal C# that I just did not anticipate at all somebody ever doing something that horrible, and then I went, I got to actually make sure that my framework doesn't break because it's a valid case. So if anything, it's very educational for me to just keep working on this and stay on top of new features that are in there. So that's probably the one I spend the most time on. And then there's some others that I've done in the past, but yeah, that's probably the one that I have invested the most of my own time on.
That's amazing. Now, speaking of source generators, well, when I saw this .NET Oxford talk, this segued me into source generators. And with C#12 that's coming out on the 14th, around the 14th of November, together with .NET 8, there is an experimental feature. We get a big warning. This is super experimental, which means we definitely need to opt in. It's not there by default. So this could be changed significantly for the next release. It could be removed or stays the very same. Who knows? Right. And since this is it's not necessarily in the language, but it's in the compiler. So I could still use it in my C# code, but it's not really usable in C# code. We will figure it out in the coming minutes why that is. And now this, coming from St. George, it's very tied to interceptors, and we would like to explore interceptors and build a tool that unveils them because of their experimentality, if this is a word. There is not a lot of tooling out there yet to reveal them, and this is perhaps a gap that we could fill today.
Right, and as we talked before this, I'm glad that you're making this emphasis on the fact that it is experimental. There's not a ton of information on this yet, and not just on the how does it work, but why would you ever use this? And I think in some ways it's good because there's still a lot of debate I'm picking up from even within the walls of Microsoft, like the people that work on the compiler and all the ancillary tools with .NET. Is this even a good thing? And if it is this the right thing that we're doing? And should we change the API, or like right now it just works with methods? Should we include everything and not just method interceptors? So, what we're going to cover today and talk about, again, I find it fun, you find it fun, but for people that would watch us, again, the caveat is, if you see this 6 months or a year from now, you stumble across this video later, this may be talking about a feature that actually doesn't make it. It's so just buyer beware in a way with this one. It's fun to dive into, and as I mentioned, I've looked at it with rocks in terms of just getting my head around how could it actually help or not help. So I've done a little bit of playing with it, but because of its potential volatile nature, I'll put it that
Mm,
way.
mm.
It it's something that we'll have fun today doing stuff with it. But I definitely would recommend people not building code for production to use
Oh, yeah.
this. That's that's a dangerous road to go down right now. So maybe not do that. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for underlining that. Yeah.
So, what are interceptors? Actually, we are using here the .NET 8 release candidate 2 SDK. And with that comes can I actually show this? New project. With that comes a template, ASP.NET Core Web API for native AOT. AOT is ahead of time compilation. And in native IoT, we don't have a JIT compiler, the just-in-time compiler. And now, without the JIT compiler, some parts may be missing what now a source generator with an interceptor could fill. So what could this do? So in this example, this is pretty much the original code from the template. And what we have is a little bit of a to-do web API, and we have two endpoints. We have the root endpoint and then ID endpoint. Perhaps let's give that a start and see what it does. And it's coming up, I hope. Is it? No? There it is. So in the root, we get those 5 items. They're hard-coded, and we can also pass in like the ID 3 to tell me I need to do my laundry, which is actually true. And now we have here the to-dos API. And with that, iEndpoint root builder, on that is an extension method that we invoke the map get. So if we follow that path, it will actually call into code from the ASP.NET Core base class library. So it's Microsoft ASP.NET Core routing, and we invoke this method. But now if we go into the CS proj and enable publish AOT, if we turn this to true, now a source generator kicks in Visual Studio, but also in other tooling like Writer. It's very, very similar. We can see this in analyzers or a source generator tab. And now a new source generator kicks in and generates new source code. We see here a warning. This is auto-generated, cannot be edited. We have here an auto-generated warning. When we have a look at the name of the document, it's .g.cs. It's auto-generated. So what does this do? Perhaps Jason, you could give us a brief
Sure.
thing. What is the interceptor part now?
So I will do that, but I'm actually, this is just the developer. I see something and then it's like, what is that movie Up from Disney with the squirrel and the dog gets like distracted. When you were diving into, I think the endpoint route builder, I think that was it. Yeah, so that's interesting. I didn't notice that before, that there is a string syntax attribute on pattern, and it's actually route. I didn't know that there was actually a route pattern that you could use for string syntax. So cool. I mean, if people don't know what string syntax is, that allows you to basically, like, if you put JSON there, then it will know, oh, you're trying to pass in JSON, and then it will actually check it, which is really cool. So I just didn't know that there was a route for the string syntax. So learn something new every day. So,
and actually, Visual Studio is understanding that and now highlighting this ID here. This is not an interpolated string; it's just a string, and it looks like if it was.
Yeah. So the string syntax thing is small, but it's kind of a cool thing that they've added. So anyway, with interceptors, one thing I think that's interesting that when you're doing your demo here, that this is actually with the .NET 8 AOT template for ASP.NET. So even though this is an experimental feature, that they're using this in what is being shipped with .NET 8. So it's kind of, I find that interesting. But with interceptors, I think when people hear that term, when they hear that term, they think, method interception or member interception. So if I call a method or if I do a getter on a property, that there's some machinery that I can hook into and be able to intercept that invocation and do whatever I wanted to do. The classic example is AOP, aspect-oriented programming, and be able to do like automated logging. So whenever a method is invoked, I'll log the before and after, or right before I return scenario, and maybe I'll log all the parameters or whatever that you want to do. This isn't that. I mean, it sort of is, but the thing that took me a little bit of time to get my head around is when I heard about interceptors, is I think in my head I had that grandiose kind of vision of that's what interception is. And the way this works is you're intercepting a call site. And for right now, it only works with methods. So that's the experimental feature that's in place right now. That may, if this grows, they may include other members, but for right now, it's just methods. They can be static, they can be instance. It doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that it's something within your code. So like in this case, that map get, if you go to your top pane and you see the intercepts location there, that has the full name of the file where you want to do the interception. And then the 21 and 10 there are basically the locations, the line and the location of that invocation. So what this feature essentially does is it says, well, if you have that intercepts location attribute specifying a location in a file, then what it will do is it'll essentially just say, well, when that gets called on the bottom there, it's really going to call your interception in the other file. So, but again, this is something that only works within essentially the project that you're in. So if, for example, if you wanted to say, I want to intercept a method and that object is getting passed into a method from another library or another assembly, that interception just doesn't work because that object reference is now being, and that invocation is somewhere else, which you don't have access to from a file perspective. So this only works within basically a project and with valid locations and files. So it's not to put it down. It's just, it's good to level set, I think, to say what this is actually doing and how far can you go with it. So.
Now I'm wondering if I put a return here and move this from line 21 to line 22. Actually, the source generator with creating this interceptor is updating as well. And let's hit some spaces here. And okay, so it must be the precise location after the dot, if I get that correctly.
If I remember when I was playing with this, I think obviously the line has to be correct. The location, I believe, as long as it's anywhere with the member name, then it's okay, because then it will go, oh, that's actually, so it could be like the character location of the P there or the T. But if you were too far forward or back, ahead or behind of the name, then it won't work. But yet, like as you were doing, as you noticed, when you were adding space and new lines, it was automatically updating this. And that's where source generators are, doing interception yourself. This is actually, I'm glad that you did this. Doing interception yourself is a recipe for disaster and pain because you would actually have to manually do all of that location lookup yourself and remember to go back and update that. And I wouldn't want to do that. That would be horrible, but a source generator, that's actually quote unquote easy, because you get all that for free. you know the name of the file, and when you look at a syntax node or anything like that, it gives you the precise location of where that is. So that ends up becoming really easy to do in a source generator. So,
and I guess since a couple of episodes ago, we also had, when we run our tests, which are our file-based integration tests on Unix, we had some problems with the path. So I guess, using a C drive wouldn't work on Unix or non-Windows, would it?
It wouldn't, though. God, I'm glad you're bringing all this up. I think they have, So in the documentation, I don't know if you actually have that up there. I'll put that in the private chat. But there is in their documentation what section on file paths, and so on the compilation options, there's a way to normalize the path, and that way it will work. Well, it's supposed to work then anywhere. It doesn't matter what the OS is.
Oh, okay. So if I was writing a source generator which creates interceptors, I would need to basically have this in my code.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll bookmark that for later.
Right. I mean, if you're just playing with it on your own machine and you're just trying to see how it works, then that's fine. But if this becomes something that eventually makes it into the box with C#, that would be one thing that I wonder if they'd actually give you some kind of analyzer to let you know, hey, you need to actually get a normalized path so that it doesn't matter which OS it's running on. So.
Cool. Now I would like to give this a try. So, because that's source generator code, it's part of my compilation, so I can actually do a breakpoint, and this should be hit. So it doesn't call into the framework code anymore. It calls into this intercepted code. Let's see if that is working as expected. And so it does. I have the call stack. I don't know. Window, view, call stack, call hierarchy. No, that's not it. Anyway, we see it here. So we are invoking this method, but it's not. We have the breakpoint now in our interceptor. And cool. Now, since this is generated code, I can't really search for these methods that are attributed via the intercepts location attribute. And since it's a super experimental feature, tooling, no tool vendor is, of course, investing into it and make this maybe give a little indicator here. I can expect this if this feature is released, of course, a big if, then there is some indicator hey, this is intercepted or something. But tooling isn't there yet. So maybe we could build something that finds all of those interceptors, resolves them, and also showcases which code is intercepted.
Yeah. And, sometimes it takes a while for the light bulb to go above in my head. When you were talking about what you're going to do, it didn't dawn on me, as odd as this may sound, it didn't dawn on me that, oh, that's right, that's actually in the generated code. So if you want to find that now, even though all of this gets bundled into your assembly and it eventually becomes part of, the code that you compile, using the tools and whatnot that are in Roslyn to actually say, how do I find the generated code file? Because that's, I think, what you're going to have to end up doing is find this. So this will be, as I like to say, an interesting journey. It'll be fun to see how this happens. So, but yeah.
So let's walk that path.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Eva, where do we start?
Yeah, we always start with testing, right? So we need a failing test. Otherwise, what are we going to do?
Cool. So let's start with let's create a new directory. Perhaps let's call it experimental to make this very obvious. And we have our interceptor locator. And let's also create a test project for that. Not a project, but an experimental. Interceptor locator tests. Perhaps we start with a little bit of cheating and
good.
Copy one of our existing tests because we did spend quite some time building a little bit of a framework. No, it's not a framework, but a little bit of a testing library. And this must be public and public async task. I don't know. Our first test.
Speaking of firsts, I also have to say that this is fun because I've known of LiveShare, but I've just never used it with anybody. So I'm actually going to have to move my tab over to my other monitor so I can still have StreamYard up for the stream, but now I want to have Visual Studio up as you're live sharing, and so now I'm going to be looking back and forth. But this is, I mean, honestly, live share. This is experimental for me because I've never done it. So if I inadvertently delete half your code, I'm sorry. But but yeah, I've never had to do this before, so this is fun to me too. So yeah, continue.
Yeah, the first couple of times also was clicked like on the stream and not on Visual Studio. Yeah, but I learned. Hopefully, I'm gonna do it again in the stream now. I can already feel it. Okay. Cool. So what have we got here? We've got a project, and we're also setting up our expected result. But obviously, we have to change that now because we don't want to count using and replace that.
I don't really know what to expect yet. So never do all. Yeah. So perhaps we start. Perhaps we start with 3 documents. So we have basically something similar, a similar setup. We could have start switching to the other project again. We could have 3 documents. One is the call site, or one contains the call site. One contains the original method that would have or would be called without the interceptor, and then the actual interceptor.
Okay.
All right. So should we not call them project then? Or should it be like file or what?
No. Let's start with a project because the project then will be the input to our interceptor locator.
Nice.
Locate async or something.
Fair enough.
So perhaps let's start with a call site. Well, let's start with a method that we want to,
Okay.
the original method, the declaration.
Yeah, but it's still in a range, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like, I don't know, like, no, that's not it. That was autocomplete, I swear. Oh my God, I'm nervous. Okay, my class, like my method. Something like that, right? That's what you wanted.
I guess this is exactly what we need.
My call? That's not what I put in. I did type my class, I swear. But okay, so Jason, just for you, this is exactly also what happens when I look at the stream but type here. Then also like it all gets really confused because it's a slide play. It's hilarious. Anyway.
Yeah.
I got it. First step done.
I'll put this into the string where we create then our project from, and perhaps let's call this my call site.cs. Is this capitalized? Nice. Okay. No, hold on. Is this our syntax? No, hold on. How can we have some overload, don't we? Where we have, oh yeah, I need to put this into brackets so that it's a combination of a document and, well, it's not a file name, but a document name. Okay, and now we can add the next document. And I guess now let's define the original method that we would call without declare the original method that we would call without the interceptor.
Okay. Wait.
Put it as yeah. So within those 2 braces, parentheses. That is, we need now perhaps we do it with a like here with an raw string literal, so we can have very nice multi-line code as a string.
Yes. Okay. Row string literals like this. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. So public stat. It's a normal method, right? Class.
Let's
Method.
define let's declare our class.
Mm-hmm. Class. All right. Got it. No, that didn't work. That worked. That doesn't work.
I think it's just confused. I'll just briefly, because I think it doesn't know it's a string. I'll just put it in here. Should be. Oh no, it's not. What's the issue? Row string literal.
Just
No.
do it in one line. Oh.
I am
How did you do that?
uncertain. Oh no! Oh, sorry. Need a return here because the same. It can't start in the same
Got it.
line. But now I'm confused. Like so. Does it not?
I'm just writing my method. While you're at it. Perfect. Easy.
Cool. I think it just. Let me check because I'm not sure. Oh, don't we have an overload? Because I was hoping to call into this method, which takes an array, a params array of tuples with name. Oh, okay, name comes first, sorry, and then the text. What are we? So first, and not sure what's okay. So we need to have first a name actually. So we have name and text, and then we just comma separate the next tuple. What are we doing wrong?
You need a name here.
Oh,
with the second one.
Right.
There.
So this will be the my class class.cs.
nice.
It's amazing when you do it right that you get all the red squiggles going away. It took me a second though to realize, because I'm all this stuff is stuff that you've built, and and I was like, what is it that you're actually passing in? And then when you finally showed it's a tuple of name, name and then the code, I was like, okay, all right, now it makes sense. Okay.
And I guess now let's create the interceptor. I guess I'll go cheating again, and we'll get inspired.
Cheat. Yes.
I'll just copy all of this. And let's create one final document, which will be my interceptor.cs, which contains I'm again doing something terribly wrong. Something braces. Braces. Hold on. Okay, so there we need to enter tuple here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And bloop. No. Oi. Control C. Control V. Yes. Okay. Here is our generated code, and also.
I'm so jealous that it's like nicely formatted when you paste something in. When I paste something, it's always like all
Yeah. Maybe that gets lost via live share.
Yes, that's my excuse.
My namespace. And now this will be on a file local type that has this generated attribute. So this will be my test in version 1. I guess here too. My test in version 1. And also the interceptor method.
Wow.
If we got that right, which now needs to point to, well, I think it's just in the root. So I think this should be just, so what are we intercepting? We are intercepting this. So this should be my callsite.cs. And it will be in line 1 at character position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this will be my was it my interceptor? My intercept.
Yeah, I don't think the name of the method that you create here has to match. It's mostly the signature, if I remember right. I could be wrong on that, but I think you can. This method here can be whatever you want to call it. It just has to have the right number of parameters and the return type. So,
Oh, yeah. So this should be void. And cool, I guess. This is it, I hope. I think we can also, let's see. We also should have some options where we can set the language version. I guess we need to set, because, well, it's not necessarily language, but at least the compiler. So I can imagine, well, but it doesn't really matter because we're not invoking it. We just need the code. So I guess that should be fine.
okay.
I think.
With that.
And cool. Then we would call into our interceptor locator. Let's make this public static, which receives a file scope namespace, which now we see, on which we create a locate async method that takes in the project. No idea about the result. Let's return a string, and we just print the string to the console. How does this work in XUnit again? I think we can have some test output helper.
Yeah.
And the field. And let's say output dot white line and put in the actual result.
Nice.
And let's launch this as a live unit test. I haven't used this all too much either, so this will be experimental for me. I only want to run this one test. I guess, can I only do it on an assembly?
What's a live unit test?
It should, whenever the test or the code under test is changing, then it should rerun the test automatically.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, I think that's just a Visual Studio feature. And is it only enterprise? I don't remember.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's
Alright.
thinking. I think. Oh, playlist. Click include all tests. Well, let's do that. Okay, well, for now, until this is finished, let's just invoke this test manually.
yeah.
If this is here, let's run the test.
I suppose, yeah.
And is it not run? Did I make a mistake? It's a public class. Oh, yes, I did. Should be a fact.
Oh, nice.
I thought there was an analyzer for, excuse me, for XUnit that will tell you if, excuse me, that it will tell you if you don't have a fact attribute on it, because it will assume you want that to be a test method and you don't have it on there. So
did not, maybe there was, and I guess there was. What are some squigglies?
What's that?
Nope. I didn't see any squigglies.
Well,
No warnings.
maybe have we disabled them? Not sure.
Did we? Sneaky. Okay.
So with an error, something with language. And it says that the file types are not available in C#10. Yes, so let's upgrade our create our project creator here to eventually use C#11 because C#11 introduced file local types.
Okay.
Type namespace could not be found. Are you missing a? Oh, okay. I guess we also, since we put our method into, oh no, that's not in a namespace. So this should be, what did we do wrong? Type on it, copy this into a bit of an output. The type on namespace intercepts location attribute could not be found. Are you missing? Oh, yes. Okay. So we need a using, no, hold on. Yes, this is not found. Using the namespace here so that this becomes available. Or we could also, I guess, make it a full qualified name.
Which, as ugly as that looks when you're doing code generation, I found out the hard way. That's what you want to do, is you want to do global and then : and then the full type name. Mostly because it makes it just simple. You don't have to think about having using statements, because then if you have two types that have the same name, are they going to collide? If you just say, I'm always going to do the I have fully qualified name or whatever you want to call that, basically the big name for something, then you're almost virtually guaranteed, I think, to always be getting the right thing that you're looking at. So it does, again, it makes it a little harder to read, but with generated code, that is the way to go. I'd never write code myself that way because it's way too verbose.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, when you're doing code generation, you don't have control over somebody's environment. And so you've got to be very defensive to try to handle as much as you can. Even something as simple as, like, if I want to declare a variable and I'm basically trying to intercept like a method that has parameters where one of those parameters has the same name as a variable you want to generate. You can't do that because they're going to collide.
Yes.
So you have to have some mechanism in place to make sure that the variables that you're declaring that are in scope won't collide with something else. Yeah. Generating code, I mean, it's a lot of fun. Or an interesting version of fun. So
I think this is one reason why they introduced file local types, so that we can just generate code that doesn't clash with anything of the user code. And let's see, method operation is not implemented. Yes.
right.
So
Nice.
what I did, because we had here a top level statement, but that requires an executable, but we set up our project to create a library, so we can't have that. So I basically just put it into some method and
okay.
also updated the
Got it.
the interceptor here, if I did my math correctly. And now we are hitting the not implemented exception. And maybe for just some debugging, let's do a string builder and return that for our debug output. And I guess text.toString. And I guess now it's time to implement.
It's a task return.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Let's make it async because we're gonna need a rate.
Yeah.
So how can we, from our project, get all interceptors? So we talked about, get all interceptors, find all, how do I call sites? Intercepted call sites.
Yeah.
And then print them. Okay. How can we find all of our, so it must be methods, because this attribute can only live currently on methods. So find all the methods that have this attribute on top.
Agreed.
Where would we start?
Well, so this project is actually so it's a code analysis project. So you want to go through all the documents in the project.
That sounds fair. So, who would like to code?
Oh, I haven't done anything. Let me see if I can. Our document, and this is a project, and that would be documents. There should be documents. Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we're going to want to do, because the project, the documents are not always going to be C# files. You can have other things. So the way I've done it, and we can change this as well, is to go path.get extension. We want to get the extension, so that gives you the like here span the document to load equal to CS. So that way we know we're actually looking at. Wait, I don't want the text. I want the file path there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you complaining about? Sure, you'll be fine. I love. I'll keep it PG, but I like how they on the C# team they call it the damn it operator. And you do that exclamation point because you're basically saying, yes, I know it's not null. Stop complaining to me, compiler. So if this is a document, now this I'm not sure how you actually want to go through and analyze it, because now what you want to do is you have a project, you have a C# document. So now you want to basically throw it through the parser, or even why am I blanking on this? The visitor that lets you visit all of the nodes within a document. I'm forgetting what that is, the name of it, but it's a type that's in Roslyn.
C# syntax visitor? That
might be it. Yeah. So we want to pass that in to. So I think if we do something like var visitor C# syntax visitor, what's part of this? Not, but when you're in, oops, not there. Here. Does that take C# syntax visitor? Does it take a?
I believe that's an abstract class. So
yes, yes, you do. So, let's do this. We go public class intercepts visitor, null derived from C# syntax visitor. Or actually, no, it's I just saw that it's the walker that I think we want.
What is the difference between the walker and the visitor, other than the walker derives from the visitor?
I think the walker it will literally walk a tree, and then it will tell you like visit expression, visit statement, visit all these different things that you can override to focus specifically on what you want. Whereas there's another one, a rewriter. I think that's the one that, you can remove nodes from the walker. Just lets you read it, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So in this case, it should be the override here. There should be like a visit. Now this is gonna be interesting. Yeah, there's no interception here but we'd have to find a way to say visit, method declaration.
Oops.
Because then we would want to look at the node and say, what is the what are the attributes on the node? Or another way to potentially do this is to actually load the document, parse it, and of course I'm forgetting off the top of my head how you can do this on the fly, but load it and get the semantic model and find all methods, because that's a little bit easier to work with. This way you have to kind of say, well, I've got the node, and oops, what is it doing that. I wanted to do. Yeah, that's fine. Node method, and then is it attributes? Forget what does it have here? Method is a. Oh no, it's right here. It's attribute lists, and so you can go through the attribute list, go through the attributes, and then find the attributes that are there, and then look for the name that you are saying is the intercepted attribute. I'll kind of let you take over for now, but I think this is probably the way we want to go. One thing that I'm curious about is, we're just playing with this right now and to see if this works in a quote unquote real project. Like, your source generated code is usually not by default, is stored in your repository. So I'm kind of curious to see, even if we get this to work, what happens when you have a project that would do with the source generator, would actually create that output, but it's actually not a file. Like, I may be overthinking this. So like, if you just take an arbitrary repository from somebody's GitHub site and said, well, let's find all the places that are intercepted. Well, the source generated code isn't even there. So I don't know if you'd actually be able even to do that, but we can have fun. We can just keep going, at least see how far we get with this. So.
Cool. So we have an attribute list, and that's a syntax list of attribute lists. So that's kind of a list of list thing, if I get it right. So we now have attributes there. If I recall correctly, I think this is because we could have some attribute in here. Let's put attribute soap attribute, and I think we could have, like, within one list we could have, if this would allow multiple stuff, I think we could have something like this. So we would have 3 here and per list 2 each. Do I get that right?
Yeah, you're hitting upon what I said before, which is different developers do different things. And what I typically do is, when I have attributes on a member, I have them each as a separate bracketed attribute. But it is perfectly legal, and I also will occasionally do this, which you'll have all your attributes within one bracketed list. And so then it's a list of them. And you have to, your style as a developer may be to do it a certain way, but what C# allows you to do is more than that. And so, the way you described it is correct. That's why you have these attribute lists and attributes, and that's the way it's designed. It seems odd at first, but it makes sense when you realize, oh yeah, that's the way it could come through. So.
And I think it's not the first time that I'm actually using select many, because we are selecting a list, or we're selecting elements that have a list again. And from that, let's try to find maybe the first or default tet. Let's put some new lines in here where this attribute is something. Perhaps let's put this into a for each. We have a body. We find all the attributes. What is that? That is a attribute syntax. And now this attribute syntax has a name syntax. Would this suffice, or should we give it a try?
Sure.
Yeah. What is that name? Is that that's a name syntax? Okay. Yeah. I mean, for starters, let's do that. I don't know if you get the full name of because again, this is the syntax tree. So what you're probably going to get here is the name that they used in code. Whereas if you had the semantic model, then you could find out the full name of the.
I see. Okay.
Attribute.
So let's bring in the semantic model, because I think we used this in a previous episode. That should be on the document. Via the document, we can get a semantic model. I think we need to pass the tree or something, do we? Oh no, we just say get semantic model. Cool. Let's pass that in.
And we're probably going to have to pass in the document to parse it at some point, but
to the, where do we need to pass that in?
Well, actually, what I'm saying is in the visitor, you're passing in the model, but we also there's a method that you have to call on the walker, I believe, that's just visit, and then I think that takes like a compilation unit, if I remember right, or something like that.
A syntax node. Do we need to pass in the root of the tree?
Yeah, hold on. Let me try something here. If you say visit compilation, like you can say the compilation unit, and so that's basically what's the top. It's not, you know what I mean? That's the one that's always. I go over the syntax tree here, and I click on that. Yeah, that's always at the top, and then you can go through that. So you could pass that visit compilation unit, and then you've got to get the compilation unit from that document, which is root, I think. Or is there a compilation unit? I can't remember with the syntax tree. There's a syntax root, and then that's a syntax node. I don't know if there's a specific way to get like the compilation unit.
I have a déjà vu. I think we just casted it back then.
If really? Okay.
Correctly. This is where David helped us. Okay, I can't find the usage, but I have this feeling we just casted it.
Okay.
Root. Let's see if it falls apart. And we say compilation unit syntax. Cast our root in 2. And compilation unit syntax. That is.
Oh, it's a task. You have to await it.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. Maybe, damn it.
See, it just becomes addictive when you just start saying that. So.
All of the damn it's. Can we have more? No. Okay.
You can put them in anywhere you want. You can have your just all over the place in your code. It would just look really annoying. But yeah. So.
Oh yes. Well, that's it now. Cool. So let's get a field to that model. Now we have the model for this tree that is walked as well at our hand. Okay. So we may want to ask that a question like the type information. I always forget what the right thing is to get.
Right, because now you want to go back to the model and find out for this attribute syntax, how do you actually, not type info, because that's reflection, but I think there's something similar. I forget what it is.
I think, is it? Because type is.
You don't want to get a type. You don't want to get, or type info is also reflection. I think it's like get symbol or get declared symbol. Yeah, symbol info? And then I have to admit, as much as I do this, and for people that are watching, this is also just something to know. If this compiler API stuff, Roslyn stuff, is really cool, really fun, really powerful, but it can also be a little bit painful because it's not something that's that a lot of people know about. And even after using this for I don't know how many years, I still will forget which do I get declared symbol? Do I get, there's other get whatever symbol methods on it that I'm just like, which one actually, if you talk to somebody on the Roslyn team, they'll tell you exactly what it should be because that's what they know that stuff inside and out. And I just don't do it all the time. So I forget which one do I actually call, but, oh, that's cute. Get extension. What's the file path on?
The file path is dramatically null.
Oh, that's interesting.
I guess guess we didn't set up our, well, we have used the
Yeah.
file paths yet, so maybe we set up our project creation here incorrectly.
Yep.
When we do create we create an ad hoc workspace, we create a new project, and we thought we would add documents with just, we just use the name. We don't use the folder, so we don't have a, there was a file path overload. Okay.
I found a bug for you. There you go.
Excellent. And I'll just use the name as well here for now. Do a little bit to do support paths properly. And let's give that a try again. And woohoo! Okay, so
got farther.
Get a symbol, and the symbol is not null, it seems. Okay, cool. We get, it looks promising. We get the, also with the types. Cool. What is that? That is a method symbol. Okay.
So, yeah, it took a second to get refreshed on my screen, and by the time it worked, you stopped.
Excuse me.
That's fine. That's fine.
Let's go back.
You know, Austria, America, you know, it takes a little bit. So, but yeah, I wanted to. There was something I wanted to look on the thing that was getting returned from symbol real quick because. So. Okay, now it popped up there, and it's still, there we go. Okay, so now if I go down to my screen, locals, come on, you can do a computer. Canada reasons. So, oh yeah, it does. Okay, so this, yeah. Okay, good. Sometimes that symbol will be null, and, but in this case, okay, and so here's a question to see if you know. This is an attribute. Why are you getting a method symbol?
This is an attribute. Why am I getting the method symbol? I
have a grin on my face because this took me a while to figure out myself when I first ran into it. It makes sense, but there's a reason why. And I just want to see if you figure it out.
It's the constructor being called.
Yep, exactly. And because it just didn't dawn on me. I'm like, I'm putting an attribute here. Why don't I get an attribute symbol or something like that? It's because in that declaration, you're right. You're calling the constructor. And so that's why that's the method. That's the constructor for the method, for the attribute. So yeah, fun stuff. But you know, get one of those things that when you run in the first time, it may throw you. It threw me when I was like doing some stuff with attributes that I wanted to find. And I'm like, why is it giving me a method symbol back? That's the reason.
So that means if an attribute that doesn't have an accessible constructor, it's unusable.
Yes, but you wouldn't declare an attribute that way because then nobody could use it. You know, they could never declare it in code. So at the very least, you'd have a no argument constructor, and then it would still be a method with the constructor that takes no arguments. So, but yeah, that would be weird to have an attribute that you can't create. I don't even think I'm almost positive you can't actually do that because you wouldn't be able to then, where the attribute data gets embedded into your assembly, and if it can't figure out how to create it, then it just won't work. I'm almost positive that wouldn't happen. So, or when I say it wouldn't happen, it wouldn't allow you to write that C# code to do that because it wouldn't be able to hydrate or create an instance of that attribute. So. Okay, so we've got, in fact, let me just look at something real quick here. If I go to model and I do .get, no, it doesn't do that. I could get declared symbol. You know what? Leave what you have here and then cast the symbol property to, like you said, a method symbol. You know, this can all be refined, you know, as you move through this. Again, we're just trying to figure out how do we make as much progress now. And maybe some of these casts are a little bit dangerous, but
yeah, we just damn it all the way for now. Mazi92 says, hello, thanks for joining.
Hi.
And Akil is asking, is this, this is C# 12 indeed. No, it's not asking. Yes, we are on C# 12 land. Highly experimental though.
Yeah, and in fact, with the interceptors, you have to be on C# 12. So to even try it.
So we cast, no, it's not a symbol, it's the dot symbol here.
Right.
And this is nullable. Damn it. Cool. Okay. Now we have the method symbol. And the method symbol, it has an arity. It has somewhere probably a string or something. Like
what you probably want in this case is the declaring type.
The declaring type of because yes, it's not the constructor. Yes. Oops. Declaring.
Oh, that's interesting.
Type. Containing
type. Yes. I knew there was something like declaring or containing, and that should tell you then, okay, this is the type that this method is contained on. And then that way you can say, okay, now I got containing type. And now you can go say on the containing type. Now, this is again another fun thing with Roslyn. Even with a symbol, I don't think you can get like a fully qualified name out of the box. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But at least we could do name and just say, is that I forget the name. The name of the attribute that you put in your code. If it's that,
the intercepts location attribute.
Yeah, and in this case, it should be this, because this is actually the symbolic name of the type, not the name that's in your syntax tree. So you don't have to worry about, is it intercepts location or intercepts location attribute? That's literally the type name. And so this is a little safer.
So I could get adventurous, declare an alias on that attribute. No, actually in here. So declare this as an alias and then use the alias name and still get the original type name. Is that right?
It should, because that, at some point it's going to have to say, this is the type symbol for what you put there. And I mean, it'd be an interesting experiment to try. I'm not sure if it would do that. I've never tried that. So, something to see what it does. But as you just saw, it does actually equal that. So, of course he does it right now.
Okay. To do.
Just to see what happens.
Yes. But we did hit that, and we do get the name. So now we are in that block. So so we now know we have found a method that is attributed with an attribute, intercepts location attribute. Sweet. So we know we are here. How can we extract this information out of that?
You should be able to now look at the method symbol, maybe, because again, this is where it gets a little weird. But not weird, just like you always have to remember the context of what you're looking at. This is just going to tell you now, oh, this is the method symbol. It's going to have probably 3 parameters. I don't think, though, from the symbol, it's going to tell you what those values are. But I think what you could do with the attribute syntax attribute is, I think, do you have it in continue on? I don't want to break anything. Sure. I do like this attribute dot. And this is something that's kind of like, where do you actually find this? I thought there was a way. I need permissions to do builds. If you actually, this would be a good thing to show with the syntax visualizer. If you just have a piece of code that has an attribute, that's taking parameters. You could look at the syntax visualizer and then see how do you navigate into an attribute syntax and find those values, if that makes sense.
Let's give, do we have somewhere an actual syntax tree? Well, we could take a look at the test, I believe.
Well, that's in a string, so
a fact here. So the fact doesn't support that, does it? It doesn't have a constructor. No.
There you do. Wherever you were, you went to some other code. Yeah, right there. Like attribute usage does.
Right. Right. Yes. Syntax visualizer. I hope it works.
You have to now click on the method. And you have to pin that. It's so much fun. It should, unless this is because you dived into this code, it can't actually find out what that is. But a syntax visualizer should let you do that.
Just build the project and see. While it's building, Sas says, hello from India. Thanks for joining.
Oh, thank you so much for joining. I'm very international today. Multiple time zones.
Doesn't seem so. I'll briefly jump to SharpLab. This is...
What's funny is that I'm doing that right now. I'm doing the same exact thing. So...
1, 2, something. Oops, I hit OK. Okay. Syntax tree. And OK, so we have the attribute list with an attribute. And the attribute has an attribute argument list. And then we could extract those 3 arguments, which is a string literal and 2 numeric literals.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
As a side note, too, with attributes, what's fun is that, like with attribute usage, or there's a way that basically you can say when you're declaring the attribute on a member, you're also setting properties within it. And so you have to look at like the constructor parameters and something. And the other thing, I forget what it is. But
so like doing a skip here, because that's now setting a property. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, something like, I think I didn't see what you were showing because I'm trying to do this with myself as well. There we go. Okay. I want to look at the tree. So yeah, I think there's a way that you can say like what the value of a property is. It's actually not part of the constructor per se. But again, I think for what you did with the intercepts, it's just 3 parameters. So we'll just run with that for now because that's simple. So
I'm wondering if this can be list patterned. So if this is a smart way to do it. So if the first one is an attribute argument, no, okay. So this will be an argument, and we have attribute argument syntaxes. And these have an expression, because I'm looking now here, basically building that. And basically writing exactly that. If this expression is a string literal expression, is string. Is this not a string literal expression syntax? Does this not exist?
Is this word? No. Yes.
Why am I having something wrong? Was it just a literal expression? Okay, literal expression syntax it is.
Yeah, sometimes what you see in the tree and what it actually, the name of it.
That's sealed. Yeah, okay, can't be.
Yeah, so it gets to be a little fun.
And now this expression has an token, I suppose. And we can get a hold of the token and maybe just cast it to whatever it should be.
Right.
Okay, and if that is hold on. Okay, I'm getting. Oh, I'll disable the syntax tree. How can we dive into that now? If that has a token, that is, no, we just grab the token.
Right.
How can we do? I'm uncertain. Well, token, this is not how it works, is it? Oh, cool. And let's do this 2 more times. And we have, this will be the file path, this will be the line, and this will be the character. Okay, and if this is all true, then we should have those values here. Well, and I guess we only do that if it is indeed that attribute. And let's see if we hit that.
It'll be interesting to see if you do. So.
Finnish Training says, a little bit late to the party, but knowing you're only about halfway through. Well, maybe today we will be actually on time.
From a time perspective, yes. From an implementation, that's really optimistic.
Oh, we hit it. Yes, we hit the breakpoint. So we do have my call site here and the line number and the token. Cool. Okay.
Okay,
so
I'm gonna say it. Damn it, I'm impressed. That's cool. I mean, seriously, it's like that just worked. So, like, wow. What do you actually have for these things? So, file path does it actually?
Those are now the tokens. So, how can we get a value from that? Value. Okay, there is a we just call value.
What did it? I'm sorry. What did it do?
I think it just says. I think it just says value, and that's an object, and I think we can just cast it.
Wow. So the same thing with the file, because I can't hover over it and see it for some reason. It's not doing that for me. But if you do it, what is that showing for file path?
Well, it has an and zooming in. So it it also shows the at. Oh, come on.
That's my name.
It doesn't really work. I can't zoom in and also show it. No, yes, I can. There we go.
Oh, but I saw it. Yeah,
so it says at quotes my call site.cs. So it's, I think, exactly. Where is it? That thing.
Yep. Wow.
And perhaps we can say now here, if the token dot value, does this work? I'm still debugging, right?
Yeah.
Dot value is, should be a string file path, and we have it typed already, integer and integer.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You wanted to, because if there's a var, because the token value is an object, right?
That's an object, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're doing. Well, this will be interesting. Okay. I mean, I've been doing C# now. I mean, before it even came out, and in like the beta versions way back in what was it, 2000, 2001. And you take what you used to do in C# to look at what you can do now, and it's just like that would be so bizarre to look at, that kind of pattern matching type of thing. And yet here we are. You've got line 5, character 60. I mean, that's cool.
I used actually in our last stream, we used the list syntax for the very first time, and I'm totally hooked. Now I'm trying to solve everything with list patterns.
Yeah, no, this is a cool one. I mean, it would take potentially a little bit of time just to look at it if you're not familiar with it. Even if you are, to go, what is that actually doing? But you're just basically saying, if the argument is expression with literal expression syntax and the token value, that, and then you'll have the 3 values that you want. right? And yeah, I mean, this is probably a little bit fragile, but again, we're just experimenting, and
I guess because of the exclamation marks that we have.
hardening is a release candidate feature. That's when you
Ooh,
when you get
yes.
everything, you get everything hardened and working correctly, and all the testers are happy, right, Eva?
Yes. So happy.
Creating myself a record where we can now, oops, store it in. See record class, we call this interceptor info. We have the string file path and the int line number and the int character number.
Aren't records fun?
Oh, yes.
I mean, I don't use them exclusively, but when you run into cases like what you're about to do, it just makes it so much nicer. You get so much by writing literally one line of code. So it's great.
Oh, must be okay. Public. And interceptors. Okay, cool. And now we add these. Oops. Don't add the new info. We have the file path extracted and the line extracted and the character extracted. And I think if we did that, we can break the loop because it's unlikely that we have a No, we actually could have multiple. We could have multiple. Can we? Yes, we could have. No. Can we have multiple?
If the invocation that you found is from a type intercepts location attribute,
yeah.
Good.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, is it yeah, it's allow multiples true. So it is possible it could be, and that makes sense because you could do this. I guess is allowing you to do this is say that at multiple places within my project, that method is going to be intercepted by this one thing because it matches the syntax. So it would have multiple intercepts locations attributes on it. Yes, exactly. Something like that.
I see. Oh, okay. Whew, okay. So we continue. And
exactly.
I don't need that anymore. And I guess this should now leave us with a list of these interceptors. Okay, now we got all the interceptors. How can we find all the call sites now?
You are so positive. This is all like, yeah, we got it. It's good. Let's move on. I love it. I love your enthusiasm. So.
But perhaps let's actually get something.
Right.
Yeah.
We have our no, hold on. The visitor is in here. So we'd have one visitor per syntax tree. Let's get all these interceptors and let's add them to the output string and see what's going on. If something is going on.
Oh, because that's what you're eventually returning, and that's what you want to look at in the test. We're just trying to see what it is that we pull out of here. Okay.
Okay, so let's run the test.
Wouldn't LiveShare run it?
Oh yes, actually it should, shouldn't it? Build complete.
Oh, yeah.
Building started, but it's. Oh yes, it does. Cool. Yeah, this is what we set up, and
because you added a second one.
Cool. Oh, this is amazing.
Is it fun when things just work? It's
well, when we put a lot of we put a lot of exclamation points everywhere.
Well, yeah. It's just details, But I mean, just at this point, the fact that you have all this is cool. Again, the thing that I'm going to be interested to see as this evolves is, which I don't know if we're actually get to it in this episode, but like in future ones, when you do this is, okay, you can do this in code, but trying to find these when it's actually been run on a code base, that might be a little bit more interesting because again, that source generated code is not going to be part of the, well, you can be, but is typically by default not part of a project. So if that makes sense, but you know, again, you got to take one step at a time. So
we okay, now this is, so what we will build then later, this is going to be a hell of an integration test. So we will need a generator which generates that, and then let our tool run against this integration test with actual generator. Oops.
Right.
Okay. So how can we now? So we have the paths. We basically would know, okay, we have the path, so we know it's this one, and we have the line numbers and the character numbers. So we could now get the, I'm not sure what we want to get there. Maybe we get maybe as a starter, the name of that printed.
Right. Yeah, and this might be actually a good place to also have those names, like the name of your interceptor and the name of the thing you're intercepting be different, because then you would know, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I actually found in my code when I'm intercepting. Like that's a different name, and then that's intercepting currently two. Well, you have two there. I don't know if that second one is still valid or not based on where it is in the code, because you have call site, you have the intercepts location twice there, but you did put two there. Okay.
Oh yes.
So I'm saying is in your test, those two my method calls, like, have both of those have different names as well.
Ooh. So we have a my method 1 and a my method 2, like so.
Right. Yeah, and then it just visually would be easy to see, oh yes, I did find my method 1 as being intercepted. So
cool. How?
Now how? Well, I think there might be a probably a more optimized way to do it. But one thing is what you're doing is your first pass, and this is in the interception location. Yeah. So as the first pass, you're going through all the documents in the project, and you're trying to find all of the interception points, like what all those attributes to define where it's going to be. Now what you need to do is go through them again and say, for each document that I found that's intercepted, go to this point in the code and tell me what I'm about to intercept, if that made sense. So you have to unfortunately do this twice, I think.
So let's do another interceptor info list. This will be the interceptors. And let's add range these interceptors. And now a second pass. Okay, through all the documents. And now the document. Can we use the document file path?
Yeah, I'm trying. Well, one also thing I was thinking of is this list of interceptors that you're getting. You probably want to do some dictionary key value, like the name of the file is your key, and then all the values are the places you found them.
Oh yeah, no, okay. At range, because this will be a collection, so this will be a dictionary of list.
Yeah, This is going to get a little complicated, but
interceptors. So we add these. Okay, damn it. Yes. So we can now get, okay. So we can get a hold of the.
well, hold on.
No?
One thing to when I said make a dictionary is right now you're saying for the file that I'm looking in, I found this information from the attributes, but the attributes themselves tell you what file they're in. So that's what I meant is the file that's in the interceptor info.
Ooh, right.
That's got to be the key.
Right.
And then all the values are basically all the locations.
Oh, okay. We need some link for that.
Yeah, I know what I think I know what you need to do. How you do it is you whipped out some magic before those patterns.
Oops. It's link time. Come on, full screen. Yeah. No, where it is. Please. Yes. How? Because we need to. Okay. No. Create a dictionary out of OI. Let's do it naively.
Yeah, I was about to just say iterate through, and then if it's the keys there, add to what's there, and if it's not, then just create a new entry.
Say if in our interceptors we try to get the value for this item dot file path out bar interceptor, and if we did find that, we say dot value. No, this is now so that's the list. Yes, we add to that list the interceptor. No, hold on. This is the item.
Yes.
And otherwise, we need to add a new one. Interceptor add. So to the interceptors, we add a new key with that file path and a new list of maybe we use this identifier, a new list of these interceptor infos, to which we will add the first one item and put this in here, I think.
And now it's giving you a little bit of a smudge to tell you, I think that you can initialize that by just doing the item and like that.
Cool. And now.
And this could be all maybe optimized a little bit better, but for now, this does what we need.
Linkify, I guess. Okay, so we can now get a hold. So this will be interceptor. We can get a hold. We look into the interceptors, and we will get that file path or the interceptor for that file, which actually interceptors. That is a list of. Okay, now I'm using a different name. Items. Okay.
Or you could say file interceptors. I don't know. Naming is hard, isn't it?
Yes.
Interceptors. Indeed. Okay. And now we have. Okay. I guess for each them, which is one file interceptor.
Well, you should do actually is say for the dictionary, say if it contains that key, because it might not. You might not have any interceptions for that file.
Mm-hmm. So we try get value out var file interceptors. And if we did find it, oh yes, it could be that the document. Then, damn it, we. Okay, so the file interceptor, we now know the line number and the character number. We are in a document. How can we get like the location or the node at this location?
Is
Find
there?
node at location. I get syntax tree, get, we need the root. I guess we're doing this again. I guess we can cache it.
You could.
Does the root have like a find? No. Oh, so wait. Oi.
Yep.
Find node. And find node has a text span. And the text span has a start and a length.
Now, this is also, this is the full length of the file. So like it, like if you're 100 lines deep, it's that start position character wise with all of those lines. So that's not what we have. But I'm trying to remember. I think there is a way. I just don't remember exactly offhand how. But I think if you do have the line location and the character location to Chat GPT, how do I do this?
Yeah, I totally forgot the shortcut. No.
What shortcut?
Open that's Copilot. I never use Copilot. Maybe I should not embarrass myself. Find root, find node. Root dot find node. Can we? So the text span. Okay, how can we transfer this to a line? Can we? I'm not thinking about like file.get. I'm not thinking of file.read all lines or something. Could we? Is there like a equivalent where we then naively iterate those lines and say, give me line number 5?
Yeah, I mean, for just right now, that will probably work. But we want to eventually get to that particular location, that node in that location, because this is going to literally read all the text, and if that's a large file, then you're going to get all that allocation. So, but I'm almost positive there's a way to do what I was saying. I can't remember the way to do it off the top of my head. So what you're going to do, I believe, will work for now. So
Okay.
Yeah, that would be super naive. Maybe so we could get the text and I also will use that output builder. And this is a source text. Let's see what source text is having. Lines. Oh, it does. Line collection, and we get our line number.
Nice.
now I can't remember. You might be a little careful. Is that the line number might be 1 based?
That would be so we need to say -1.
I believe so. Yeah, I think it tells you the first line is 1, so you really want that to be 0. And if it's not, it'll blow up, and we'll know. So
that's right. And we have. Does this have a start? Can we use this start here? Can we basically find our offset around to create this text span somehow from span? No. So we have that line number and we have a start. Guess the start position of the line. And do we then just add the characters to that? Can we do like to get this text span? Oops, wrong key. Text span gets a start and a length. So I need to stop debugging because I hit F11. Can we... so we know that the line has a start, and we just add the character number. But again, so this is now 0-based, so we need to say -1. Do I get that right?
Well, the character number, yeah, is that 1 from the start of the line. So, but then also you're doing a text span here. And well, right now, yeah, it's like your corresponding required parameter length of the text span.
Also needs the length. Okay, so we set the, and then the length would be, I guess, the same, plus the character, plus, oh no, what? +1. No, we just need a text. Does it work with the same? Like having just, it's like a super span, like a short span, like 1 character span. And then we go into the, where was this in the document, right? No, in the syntax root. Root.find node.
So what is, these are lines. Oh, I'm sorry. You went so fast, I missed it. You're actually getting the text document async, and then what is this line? That is a text line. Ah, okay. Okay. Sorry, I was getting a little lost because I'm like, wait a minute. If this is a line, its start position is the actual start position relative to all the other lines above it. So it actually gives you the right. I believe so.
Well,
I thought when you did read all lines, you were literally just going to like file read all lines. That
okay. No. This is the model, that the semantic model I had in my head, or whatever.
So yeah, so if you say start minus text span, well, yeah, see what we get.
Yeah, there must be a more native. Okay, so we have the text. We get the line that looks like my class, my method 1. And okay, we get a span, which is from 89. Okay, no, this is wrong. From 80. No, this is way too much. Oh, hold on. Is this? Because it's the length I put in. It's not the end. It's the length.
Okay.
So.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
yeah.
1 or 0 or 1. 0. Maybe this gives us a node.
Let's see.
Because that's all we need is just if we can actually create the span, it would be really nice to do it by saying by like a line number and the position, because that's really what we want.
Member access. This looks good, doesn't it?
Wow.
We get a simple member access expression.
Well, that's good. Now you know where it is.
Woohoo! Okay, so we could. Yeah, this
That's an evil laugh. That's a very, very sinister.
No, it's just, this is criminal. But okay. Yes. I missed
It's like I could just see all the gears turning now, going, excellent.
Builder.add append line, and we say node toString or something, and let the test run. Did it run already? Oh, this is amazing. Oh, this is so good. Oh, this is amazing. Because if we put that here, there we have it.
Yep. Now, of course, again, there's all this, like, I'm immediately going, we got to be really defensive eventually, and you got to make sure that, you know, that the attribute existing in code doesn't, it could arguably not be correct, even though it's probably being generated and would be correct. But you'd also want to say something like, well, this attribute told me there was a file at this location, but does that location actually exist? You know, and
Oh, I see. Yes.
like somebody could arbitrarily just put in, I'm thinking of bad citizens of the world, people that just for whatever reason do bad things or inadvertently screw up what they're putting in that attribute. So you'd want to be defensive around a lot of these things. One of them being just make sure that when you try to find what it told you is a location, is it actually something that exists? You know, that type of thing. But again, with the time we have today in this stream, you know, I think you've made a lot of good progress already. You know, and eventually at some point you'd have to get to where it's being refined and defensive. But the fact that you even got this far is pretty cool because now you're finding like what are all the methods that are going to be intercepted, and you know, assuming you can find those attributes, at least you now know, you know, here are all the interception points in my project. So that's pretty cool.
Well,
Yeah.
we did. What would be helpful output? Now, let's say you would want to use this tool to unveil all the interceptors and intercepted locations in your code base. What would be an actually helpful console command line output for you?
I think knowing, you know, I think knowing which methods are going to be intercepted and be intercepted by what. So you kind of this code did the right thing in that it's looking for the attributes. It will say this method has all these interception location attributes on it. So it's going to handle these locations. Now you found where those locations are. So what I want to see is if I run this on a project is to say, okay, find me all the places in code that are going to be intercepted and by what. If you can do that.
So what would be a helpful format for that? Like considering
I would say for like you're going through each document at the end the second time. So you'd say if this document has interceptions, then you'd list like this document has these method invocations at these points or locations in the file, and they're going to be intercepted. That would be kind of cool to know.
So like in our case, it would be the my class 1.cs. And below that, the call sites or the methods that are intercepted. So these information
like
or these methods?
No, not those, because that's just in your definition. And that code too, that my class code, that can be in another assembly. You're just referencing it here. So
that is
so what I would want to know is more about like what's in the caller method, those two. Yep, exactly.
And then actually like print the line or print the invocation, or what would be helpful?
Print the invocation, which it seemed like you had when you did a toString on the node. And then also include the line and the character location.
And okay, so in our case then would be myclass.method1 and myclass.method2 and maybe, I don't know, comma, what was it, like 516 or something, and 616.
Yep.
Like such?
Right, because it's possible that an interceptor is not going to intercept all of the calls to my method one. It might in some cases, but not in others. So knowing within a file all of them and their locations, I'll know that those are the ones that are going to be intercepted. It would also be nice to know how they're going to be, if you can say in what generated file the interception is going to be done at. You know, that might be interesting too. I'm not sure if you can get that, but that would be.
So where we're basically calling into.
Well, yeah,
so that
and
we
you
call
could,
into this.
Yes, yeah. That's right.
So this would be then basically maybe also like generated C whatever on Windows, generated.cs. I don't know, maybe I think it's generated namespace, how we called it.
Right.
How did we call it? No, my namespace generated type. My namespace generated type dot different name with compatible signature.
Yep.
And maybe add, if we have parameters, then maybe like if this was taking like a double, then we could like print this info too.
Right.
Because maybe there is overloads to that.
Possibly. What's interesting is that you'll be able to find that, because when you find those intercepted location, those attributes, those are declared for a particular method, which is on a type. So you'll know all that stuff when you find your intercepts location attributes.
Yeah, so
If
we
that
basically
makes
have
sense.
so we have that. So we get the. We have the. So we need to find the type that this attribute is on.
Well, you'll find the method that it's on, and then the method has the containing type. So what I'm saying is you should be able to find out whenever you find that attribute, you'll know the method and then the corresponding type that method is in. So you should be able to glean this information when you find those attributes.
But we lose the document information that this type is in. Well, I guess, can we get that from, can we get this from the syntax, from the attribute? Does this have like a syntax tree with the file path? We have that. Cool.
Perfect.
Cool.
Well, that will give you the file that attribute declaration is made right now.
Not the method that is attributed with. Oh yes, that's the constructor. Yeah.
Right. So what you actually want, you already have this. That method declaration syntax, the node that's being passed in to visit method declaration, that is the method. You already have it. So you can look up the symbol, get the method, and as they say, apparently in Australia, Bob's your uncle.
I don't know what that means.
I heard that expression one time, and it took me forever to figure. It basically means, and you're done. You've got everything. I believe that's what it means. So,
and Bob's my uncle. Cool. So this symbolic. So this would be the get symbol info, and from that we can get the name again. And cool. Oh, this is amazing.
So yeah, you'll be able to get all that stuff. But I have to say, I'm getting kind of near the time where I need to do some other stuff with now my family and whatever. So I would need to drop soon. So I kind of think this is probably a decent point to stop for now, because you've honestly made a lot of progress. Again, what would be interesting to see when you do this in the future is, now how do I actually do this analysis on a project with that code generation aspect part in there? Like, how am I actually going to be able to do that?
So let's test it against the native AOT web API that we started with earlier and see if it prints those interceptions.
Right. And if it doesn't, then the issue is going to be, how do you actually you almost essentially have to compile it and see if those documents then are created. The code generated files are in the project, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So, there's some work to be done, but
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
at the very least. I don't know. This is always fun to play with because you're like, oh yeah, you can find like you find out all this stuff that's in the syntax trees and the models, and it's like if you just keep looking a little bit, you'll eventually land on it. And what I found with the compiler API is once you find what you're looking for, it actually oddly ends up not being as much code as you think it should be. It usually ends up being like to write an analyzer or something. It's usually not that much code. It's just trying to figure out exactly what you need to do, I think, is the struggle. That's the harder part. So,
Absolutely.
And how to get rid of all of the exclamation marks.
well, yeah.
Wow.
And get rid of all the to-dos and get,
To those, okay, cool.
Wow.
But-
No, absolutely. We've got loads of to-dos for next time as well. As always, that's like also what we do each and every episode, I feel like. But no, thank you so much, Jason, for helping us out. It's been an absolute pleasure, like meeting you, and yeah, I don't know, working coding with you and learning from you. Thank you so much for taking the time and doing a deep dive into this topic with us.
Well, and the same right back to both of you. This has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed doing this, and I learned some things as well. Just even doing live share, like I said, I've never done on a stream or really with anybody. And now I'm like, I need to use this more because I'm a remote worker. I do all my work from my house. It'd be nice to just keep doing this more often. It's very, very helpful. So that was fun to do too. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this, and thank you for inviting me. I'm glad I did it. And if there's anybody out there that enjoys this stuff, you should get them on your show too, because it's fun to pair program, because people will always see something that you didn't realize or you weren't thinking about while you're doing it. And so it can be very productive. So
I'm so glad to hear that you had a good time as well as learning new, because that's the way we I started the show in the first place.
You're a bit robotic. Is that me?
no, it's her. She sounds really robotic.
A bit robotic. Yeah.
The outro, Stefan.
You sound really distorted for some reason. I don't know why. So
Okay. Then it's time for outro. Yes. Thank you very much for watching. We will be back in pretty much exactly 2 weeks minus a couple of hours, off by one something, at 8th of November, where we will continue exactly where we left off and round off the feature and optimize things and reduce damage operators. Maybe we add a little bit more, adding more tests and all of that. But we have landed a solid foundation. Until then, we would like to suggest a couple of events. So if you're into Blazor and also what's coming up with .NET 8 and Blazor, you may want to check out the .NET Nuts event, which will be online on the 30th of October. Always putting the links in the chat. And also, so not only .NET, we also want to get a bit of hold of testing, which will be the focus in our next episode. How to use fakes for testing, which is from Tech Excellence on the 1st of November. And also in November, we not only get a new version of .NET, there is also the Visual Studio Live event in Orlando. Yes, it says there. And Jason is also holding a couple of sessions and the workshop there. So if you're around, you probably not gonna want to miss this. Talk busting.NET myths. That sounds exciting. Polyglot notebooks, amazing. New modern .NET library APIs, always good to know. And Blazor top to bottom. I guess, well, we did a bit of Blazor, you and I. We could make use of that indeed, yes. And yeah, with that, thank you very much for watching. Jason, thank you very much for your help. I think this is one of the first times we actually accomplished something in the allocated time frame without overshooting it
Okay.
significantly. So thank you so much. This was fun. This was amazing. And until then, we'll be back.
All right.